car submerged at the bottom of a lake. Inside, the body of a teenage girl. And for 14 days, no one even knew she was there. Keely Rodney, just 16 years old, vanished after a summer party in the mountains of California. No one could say exactly when she left. No warnings, no clear witnesses. Just a quiet morning, followed by an absence that couldn't be explained. Police searched everywhere. The community put up flyers, held prayer vigils, and flooded social media with posts. But beneath it all, one haunting question remained. How does a teenage girl disappear in the middle of a crowd? And why was it a group of strangers on YouTube, not the authorities, who found the first real clue? This isn't just a story about someone going missing. It's about what we expect to happen when we need help, and what really happens instead. Keely Rodney wasn't your average teenager, but she wasn't rebellious or strange either. At just 16, she had already graduated early and was getting ready to start college. She loved music, played several instruments, and often helped her mom run a summer music camp tucked deep in the woods near Truckee, California. Keely had blonde hair, bright blue eyes, and a smile that could lighten an entire room. But what people remembered most about her wasn't how she looked. It was how safe you felt around her. Friends described her as someone who looked after others before they even asked. She listened. She remembered the little things. She made people feel like they mattered. Her family lived in a small wooden cabin in the forest. They didn't have much, but there was love in every corner. Her mother, Lindsay, would often say, "Keely is my light, but also the shadow I could never quite catch." She was smart, curious, and always chasing the truth, even when it made people uncomfortable. That day, Friday, August 5th, 2022, Keely told her mom she was heading to a party at the Prosser family campground. It was an unofficial graduation bash with over 200 teens from different schools. A big night with plenty of beer, parked cars, and no adult supervision. She promised she'd be home early. She drove her silver Honda CR-V, a car her mom once described as nothing fancy, but safe enough. That was the last time Lindsay ever saw her daughter. Truckee is a quiet mountain town with around 16,000 people, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone, and when something happens to one child, it becomes the whole town's concern. Winding forest roads, coffee stands on wheels, hand-carved wooden signs. It feels like something out of a small-town American fairy tale. But that peace can make you slow to react. When Keely didn't come home, Saturday morning passed with just a few unanswered texts. By noon, Lindsay started to worry. She called Keely's friends. She called the police. But the initial response wasn't panic. It was patience. Maybe she just stayed over at someone's place. She's a teenager, probably just out having fun. Don't worry, kids do this all the time. But Lindsay knew. A mother always knows. She began posting online, printing flyers, and driving around the lake herself. In those early days, the community rallied behind her, sharing posts, offering help. But as time passed, life moved on. The new posts slowed. The messages of support began to fade. And while many believed Keely was just off on some teenage getaway, one friend came forward with a troubling detail. She sent a weird message and then deleted it. I didn't get to read the whole thing. Friday, August 5th, 2022. Night falls quickly in the mountains, and the Prosser family campground soon turned into chaos. Over 200 people showed up, mostly high school students and recent grads. The music, the alcohol, and the total lack of adult supervision created a sense of freedom. But it also came with risk. Keely arrived alone. At first, she was still texting her friends. She posted a few photos on Snapchat, but around 12:30 a.m., all communication stopped. Her phone, which was always in her hand, suddenly went silent. Strangely, no one could say for sure when they last saw her. Some said she was near her car. Others said she was drinking, but didn't seem drunk. One friend remembered Keely saying she was getting ready to leave, but couldn't say whether she drove off or not. The conflicting stories made it nearly impossible to piece together a timeline. Keely's silver Honda CR-V vanished with her. Lindsay reported her missing early the next morning. An alert went out. But the police, like much of the community, initially assumed she probably just went off with friends. Still, authorities began searching around the campground, reviewing traffic cameras, and trying to trace her phone's signal. They interviewed partygoers, but everything was vague. No camera had recorded the car leaving. No data showed the phone moving beyond that area. Meanwhile, Lindsay, along with friends and family, plastered hundreds of missing posters across California. They shared Keely's photo on every social media platform, hoping someone, somewhere, might have seen her. But day by day, hope began to fade. After a week, the search effort grew. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and multiple volunteer rescue teams joined in. They used drones, helicopters, divers, and search dogs. They combed through every bush, every trail around Prosser Lake. Hundreds of hours of searching, and still nothing. Her family refused to give up. Lindsay set up a search coordination center near the campground, bringing in sonar experts, criminal profilers, anyone who could help. As the media began picking up the story, it ran into an all too familiar obstacle. Keely didn't fit the usual image of a high-risk victim. There was no clear sign of violence. No suspect. Just a teenage girl who vanished after a party. Some in the community began to ask, how had no one spotted the car? The lake wasn't that deep, so why hadn't it been found? Police responded they had checked the lake, but there was no evidence suggesting a need to dive deeper. That's when a group of YouTubers showed up, armed with sonar equipment and a quiet belief. Sometimes the truth isn't where the noise is. It's where no one's looking. August 21st, 16 days after Keely Rodney disappeared. A group of YouTubers called Adventures with Purpose, or AWP, arrived in Truckee. They're not law enforcement. They don't carry weapons. They don't get paid. Just a van, a small boat, sonar equipment, and a quiet belief. No one deserves to be forgotten. AWP specializes in underwater searches for missing persons, and they've helped solve cases law enforcement once gave up on. Within just 35 minutes of scanning Prosser Lake, they found something. A large object beneath the surface, less than 50 feet from shore. It was an SUV, overturned and submerged in the mud in just 14 feet of water. The exact area police had said was thoroughly searched. They dove in, and in the silence of the lake, they saw what no one else had found in 2 whole weeks. The license plate matched Keely's car. Inside was a body, badly decomposed, face down against the glass. AWP recorded the entire process, but they withheld the most sensitive moments. In the released video, one member quietly breaks the silence. We found Keely. Police were called. The vehicle was pulled from the water. The family was notified. And tears finally fell, not because hope was restored, but because the truth had finally surfaced. The discovery sent shockwaves across the country. How had a group of unpaid volunteers found the car in under an hour? In the same lake police had already cleared. A police spokesperson initially stated, "We did everything we could." But the truth was, Prosser Lake had never been searched using the kind of advanced sonar AWP brought in. Keely's family didn't voice blame, but her mother, Lindsay, went silent for days. When she finally spoke, she said only one thing: "Thank you for not giving up." In the community, questions started bubbling up. Why did police say there was no sign of a vehicle in the lake when it was right there, near the edge? Why wasn't the lake secured as a crime scene? And why didn't law enforcement bring in AWP sooner, when this team had already solved dozens of similar cases? One neighbor who lives near Prosser Lake put it best: "I walked past that lake every day for 2 weeks. If someone had told me there was a car under there, I wouldn't have believed them. But now, I ask myself, how many times have we failed to see what was right in front of us?" August 23rd, 2022, just 2 days after the vehicle was recovered. The initial autopsy results were released. Keely Rodney died by drowning. No signs of trauma. No evidence of foul play or toxic substances. Her death was officially ruled an accident. For many, the explanation made sense. A young girl, partying, possibly drinking. Maybe she simply drove into the lake late at night. But for Keely's loved ones, and the millions following her case, the answer felt more like a gap than a conclusion. Why did no one see her leave the party? Why were there no tire tracks, no skid marks, no signs the car had even gone off the road? And why, with the lake being so shallow, did no one spot the car's headlights under the water for 2 whole weeks? Footage released by Adventures with Purpose revealed some unsettling details. One window had been broken. Another rear window was rolled halfway down, and Keely's body was found in the back seat, an unusual position for a solo car crash victim. Some speculated she may have panicked and crawled into the back, trying to escape as the vehicle sank. But that still didn't explain how the car ended up in the lake in the first place. A former friend came forward. Keely was scared of water. She never went near the lake alone, especially not at night. And then came a detail that shifted everything. Surveillance footage from a nearby gas station captured a vehicle identical to Keely's, driving past at 12:34 a.m. That's just 1 minute after her phone went dark. But somehow, this video was overlooked in the original investigation report. Just as the public was beginning to accept the accident theory, another twist surfaced. A leak from inside the investigation revealed that an anonymous witness had told police a young man walked with Keely to the parking area that night. He was reportedly a fellow student, someone she had a vague, possibly complicated relationship with. Police confirmed they interviewed him and found no evidence linking him to her death. But that didn't stop the internet. Online sleuths dug into his old social media posts, shared photos, and spun elaborate theories. In one TikTok video, the boy said, "I don't know what happened. We talked for a few minutes. Then I went back to the party. When I came out again, she was gone." But that raised the next question. Did Keely really leave alone? And if not, who was the last person with her? A criminal behavior analyst speaking on a local podcast said, "Not every drowning is an accident. Sometimes an accident is just the ending of a story someone wanted to erase." And just as police prepared to close the case, an anonymous email arrived in Keely's mother's inbox. It said only one sentence. That car didn't go into the lake on its own. After the cause of death was ruled an accident, many thought the case was closed. But in truth, that was when the real storm began. Social media exploded with speculation. Reddit threads, YouTube videos, TikToks, all dissecting footage from AWP, comparing satellite images of the campground, mapping out theories on how the car might have entered the lake. Some believed Keely had tried to escape. Others were certain someone else had been in that car with her. The coroner's report, while noting no signs of trauma, failed to establish an exact time of death. That meant one terrifying possibility. Keely may have been alive underwater for several minutes. And during those minutes, no one knew where she was. No one came to help. The family was lost in grief and uncertainty. Her mother, Lindsay, began avoiding the media. Her stepfather spent his days poring over the autopsy, underlining every line. Her brother, once the one who teased Keely daily, now stayed silent, cutting himself off from the world. "We were supposed to be looking for justice," Lindsay said in a later interview. "But how do you find justice when no one is being held accountable?" Police officially closed the case. No suspects, no charges, no evidence of anything suspicious. But to many, that lack of suspicion was the most suspicious thing of all. As the files were quietly shelved, Lindsay received a handwritten letter, no return address, left in her mailbox. Inside, scrawled in uneven writing, was one sentence. "If you think your daughter died by accident, you've trusted the wrong people." Police dismissed it as harassment, but Lindsay couldn't stop thinking about it. She began digging again, through photos from the party, old Snapchat messages, phone logs. And that's when she noticed something. At 12:29 a.m., just 4 minutes before Keely's phone went dark, she'd made a missed call to an unknown number. Lindsay sent the detail to police. No one responded. Meanwhile, Adventures with Purpose continued their own investigation. They reported that sonar scans had revealed a long drag mark in the lake bed, as if the vehicle had been pushed, not rolled. But they couldn't confirm it. The area had already been sealed off by law enforcement. All equipment and data had been seized. The community fractured into two camps. One side believed the official story, that it was a tragic accident and everything else was just conspiracy. The other believed something was being hidden. In an unreleased video, AWP quietly addressed the camera as they packed up to leave the site. "We found the car, but I'm not sure we found the whole truth." Keely's silver SUV now sits in an evidence lot, as silent as the night it was pulled from the lake. No one drives it. No one opens its doors, and no one knows for sure what happened on the night of August 5th. A memorial was held at the edge of Prosser Lake, where pine trees cast long shadows over the dark water. Friends brought flowers. The family released sky lanterns. There were no grand speeches, just long silences and tear-filled eyes. Lindsay clutched the last photo ever taken of her daughter, just hours before she disappeared. She wasn't looking for explanations anymore. She just wanted people to remember that her daughter was here, that she existed. "If you think this was just an accident," she said, "I understand. But if something feels off to you, it does to me too." No one was charged. No one apologized. And to many, that's what made it feel so unfair. The police closed the case, but the community didn't. Questions still echo, on forums, in living rooms, in quiet conversations between parents, because the death of a teenage girl shouldn't and can't be wrapped up with a simple conclusion. "The coldest part isn't the lake water," one of Keely's friends said in a podcast. "It's realizing maybe no one was really looking for you." So, what do you think happened that night? Was it an accident? A tragic moment of misjudgment? Or is there something that was never said out loud? If your heart sank too, for a girl left alone beneath the water for 14 days, leave a comment, "Me too." Because sometimes the only thing that remains is not the truth, but how we remember and how we tell the story of the ones who are gone.